What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday so far. We are back talking fantasy football. We are now just months away from the start of the 2025-2026 NFL season. So definitely an exciting time if you play fantasy football. And over these next couple of weeks, we will be kicking off our top five rankings, starting off with the running backs, and then we will head on to the wide receivers. We're also going to be doing some mock drafts over the next couple of weeks to talk about some early draft strategies and some diamond in the rough players for this upcoming season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick things off with the top five fantasy football running backs. Starting with the number one running back heading into this season is Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia coming off of a great season, beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And Saquon Barkley was definitely a huge piece in Philadelphia being world champs last season. Saquon had over 2,000 rushing yards, was close to breaking the record, but it fell a little bit short of that. But it was a historic season for Saquon Barkley, especially if you had him in the fantasy world. He was easily a top three fantasy running back, and I expect really no other difference as it's the same Eagles offense. You're still rolling with Jalen Hurts. Offensive line is one of the best in the NFL, and then you'll have your tandem of receivers with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So it is still the same Eagles offense, but that's not a bad thing. The Eagles were one of the better offenses in the league last year, and I expect that to be the same. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the projections for Saquon Barkley. So right now, coming off of the board at number 3, so just behind Jamar Chase and Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, I have seen people put him at the number 1. I could definitely see the upside with Bijan Robinson, but I feel like Saquon Barkley, when you have a first-round pick, especially if you're in the top 3, sometimes you want to go as safe. And I think that Saquon Barkley is a safe bet to maybe not do what he did last season with the 2,000 yards, but I think that he's going to go right around that projection that you see at the bottom of the screen with 10 rushing touchdowns and nearly 1,500 rushing yards. So, like I mentioned, pair that with the Eagles' offense, I feel really good about Saquon Barkley, and I would not be shocked if he finishes as the RB1 in the 2025 fantasy football season. So that is our number 1 running back. And now let's move on to number 2. And that is Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons. And like I mentioned, Bijan has really been the popular pick to be the first running back off of the board. I could definitely understand that. There's a lot of upside with Bijan Robinson. I really look at Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson as a 1A and 1B. I think that they're really going to do great this season in fantasy football. He is coming off pretty early in drafts, so just behind Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has been the 1.01 in all the mock drafts that I have done recently. I have seen Bijan Robinson go off the first round, just a matter of, do you want a wide receiver first with your first round pick, or do you want to go with a running back? So if you go like a guy like Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley, I would definitely recommend going a hero RB. So you would draft Bijan Robinson early. You would draft, the best available wide receivers in the 2nd and 3rd, and then maybe in the 4th and the 5th, you would get another running back in that round. But let's talk about Bijan Robinson. Going to be a little bit of a new look offense. I mean, Kirk Cousins was the quarterback for the majority of the season for Atlanta before Michael Penix stepped in, and Bijan Robinson had 2 touchdowns in each of the games that Michael Penix was in. So that's a small sample size that we already have a Bijan Robinson pairing up with Michael Penix Jr. So Michael Penix is going to have now a full season under center with the Falcons. And the Falcons offense, like the Eagles offense, hasn't really changed too much. They're going to be rolling with Drake London. That's going to be their wide receiver number 1. Darnell Mooney is also going to factor in. Kyle Pitts, the star tight end, is also going to pile in as well. But Bijan Robinson, I've really been high on him ever since the Falcons have drafted him out of Texas. I mean, his last season at Texas showed me all I needed to know. I did have him in the top 2 in his rookie season. He didn't really pan out to what I thought he was, but last season we really saw what Bijan Robinson could do, especially in the fantasy football spectrum. He was really sensational in the NFL last season. But looking at his projected points for 2025, comes in at 305.4. He is projected more rushing touchdowns than Saquon Barkley. He is more of a pass catcher than Saquon. It's not saying that Saquon can't really, pile up some fantasy points in the receiving realm, but I think that Bijan Robinson if you're looking for like a hybrid running back, more not less really saying like Derrick Henry. So let's take a guy like Derrick Henry. He's more of a guy that will get you rushing touchdown dependent. I think that Bijan Robinson could get it both rushing touchdowns and also receiving touchdowns, in this Atlanta Falcons offense. So Bijan Robinson is a close number 2 running back, but I could definitely see him being the number 1 overall running back as well heading into the season. So that's our top 2 running backs. So now let's cap off the top 3 before we go to number 4 and number 5. And then we'll also give some honorable mentions to close things out. So heading into the number 3 running back of this 2025 season is Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions. Gibbs had a sensational season if you had him last season, especially heading into the postseason. He was really playing solid for you. I know that the league that I was involved in, the champion, had Jahmyr Gibbs, and he was sensational throughout the whole entire season. His ADP right now is coming in at number 6. So after Saquon and Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs is coming off the board. Christian McCaffrey is also around that ADP, which we'll get into here in a couple of minutes. But Jahmyr Gibbs, this is going to be a new look. Detroit Lions offense. Ben Johnson has now moved on to the Chicago Bears offense, but reports from their offense coordinator of the Lions is that the offense is going to go through Jahmyr Gibbs. You're going to get Dave Montgomery back. Montgomery did deal with a couple of injuries last season that vaulted Gibbs' performances up. I think that Montgomery will be involved in this offense. He will get some touchdowns, but I think that the main focus, especially in the running department, will be in Jahmyr Gibbs. And what I like about Jahmyr Gibbs, similar to Bijan Robinson, is that he gives you points in yardage, but in the receiving. That's definitely huge if you play PPR. And I forgot to mention that these rankings are subject to PPR leagues. So standard league would probably be a little bit bumping and up and down, just depending on if you have a preference to your your receiving backs or your prototypical running backs they were seen in the past. But Jahmyr Gibbs still very high on this Lions offense. Like I've been saying, it's pretty much the same Lions offense. You got your same receiving core of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. And like I mentioned, you will have to deal with Dave Montgomery coming out of the backfield. But that shouldn't really worry you because Jahmyr Gibbs should be the focal point of this Detroit Lions backfield. So I am all in on Jahmyr Gibbs. Honestly, I would be very fine with getting either one of 3 of these running backs in the first round. I really feel good coming out of my draft. Now let's move on to number 4. It's going to be Devon Achain of the Miami Dolphins. His ADP is number 14, so this is the highest out of all the top 5 running backs that we're going to be seeing. So he's going in the early to mid second round, which honestly is a steal to me. Devon Achain, whenever Tua Tagovailoa is healthy on the field, Devon Achain is averaging 22.9 fantasy points per game. So he's been really consistent whenever Tua is healthy. But that's the main focal point there if Tua can stay healthy. So I think that Devon Achain, though, he's what I like about these prototypical running backs. Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, they're all pass-catching backs. And Devon Achain is an elite speed in the NFL. And looking at his projected points, it is a little bit lower on that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets closer to the 280, maybe 290 range because he can definitely rack up some touchdowns, especially if Tua can have a healthy season this year. So give me Devon Achain at number 4, which I know is a little bit too high on some boards. I've seen Devon Achain be outside of the top 5, but I really like the upside here. I think that you're really looking for upside, especially if you already have one of these other starting running backs, or maybe you got one of the star wide receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. If you want to compliment him for running back number 1, I think that Achain can definitely be a reliable RB1 for this season. And now let's close out the top 5 ranking with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, it feels like, has been a top 5 running back in all my rankings that I've done in the past couple of years, and nothing is going to be changing. Heading into this season, his ADP is at number 8, so he's going right behind Jahmyr Gibbs and just before Devon Achain. Looking at his projected points for the 2025 season is at 283.8. I do want to look at the rushing yards, 7.7. That is right around the range that we've seen of the other running backs. And then the projected rushing yards just over 1,000. The main thing that we talk about is Christian McCaffrey. Can he stay healthy this season? He was pretty much wiped out of the 2024 season. He was the consensus 1.01 in most of the leagues last year. So I think that a lot of people are going to be hesitant, especially if they missed on Christian McCaffrey in last year's draft. And this is pretty much going to be a boom or bust for Christian McCaffrey. If he stays healthy for the majority of the season, he's going to be a top 3 running back because he has shown it that he is one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. And the 49ers offense definitely has some holes. They lost Deebo Samuel. And then the wide receiver, you have Juwan Jennings. George Kittle is still there. Brock Purdy is going to be manning the quarterback. So Christian McCaffrey, look at the 49ers schedule for running backs. It is quite complimentary to Christian McCaffrey. If you get Christian McCaffrey the way that he's going, late first round, early second round, to me, if he stays healthy, that's going to be the steal of the draft, because if Christian McCaffrey has a healthy season, then he's going to be automatically a top 3 running back, because that's what he has done in his last 4 healthy seasons, with the Panthers as well with the 49ers. And then some honorable mentions, 2 players just outside of this top 5 is the rookie out of Las Vegas, Ashton Genty, and then from the Baltimore Ravens is Derrick Henry. So those are 2 running backs outside of the top 5. Let me know who you have on your top 5 running backs heading into the to the 2025 season, And that'll be it for our fantasy football top 5 running backs. Tune in to next week as we will continue our ranking with the top 5 wide receivers. So I appreciate everybody for tuning into today's video. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend, and I'll see you back here next time. So long for now.